So the answer to the question is coming mamish at the end, and a few lines, the end of the second paragraph of Zion. Anybody wants to repeat the question? And the answer is so far, but let's go back to the question. What's the basic question? The Maimer.
How could they have kayak and ar come from the same? From the same. Not right.
Yeah. And much have I heard right? Say it again.
From the same. Like how could it?
It's more how does one expression of Hashem be both Oir and Koyach? Now, why? What's the problem? You call it Oir, call it Koyach. Why do these two words convey opposite expressions?
Oir is developing Koyach. It could only express that which is from the source. And Koyach is creating something which is completely separated.
Yeah, that's the Keser, the Shaila. To create Yesh Ma'ayin, it has to be a force that is not overtly at least connected to its source. K'moi davar nifred. And then it will create something that also feels it's a davar nifred, even though it really isn't. But Oyer can't produce that. Oyer cannot produce such a lie. Oyer cannot produce such a lie. That's to pare it down very bluntly.
Is that because it will always carry the ma'ar with like it?
Because the nature of Oyer says there is a God. That's all it can say. That's all there is to say. And will not create something it says there isn't a God. Oyer is the truth. The truth cannot produce a lie. Koyach, the Eibishter expresses a koyach, which is at least, again, overtly not connected to the source, can create that which overtly doesn't feel connected to the source and live in its little lie. So how then can we say that not so? It's not even k'moi davar nifred. It's not k'moi davar nifred, the creative force in creation. It's davuk. And we see it in the eternity, the infinite properties of creation and the other ayahs you brought before. If it's davuk, so here's the hit the question on the nail on the head. If it's davuk, so how in heaven's name can it produce something which is not davuk? Me and you, in our hergish. That's the question. Huh? What's the answer? Started to learn already. Barichas already. What do you say so far? Look at the Maimer, refresh your memory. Two kinds of dveikus. To use the Hebrew language, of which I'm a guild student, don't understand nothing, but at least I got the right words. The dveikus of Oyer is hispashtus. The dveikus expressed in koyach and chayis is fill in the blank. But look at me, look at the Maimer.
Wow.
Huh? And what is it? He uses a word, a key word. Hischachus. Hispashtus versus hischachus.
Why is hischachus and vacus? What vacus is there in hischachus?
It's constantly, every moment, being dischadish. Every moment is being dischadish. So we need to grasp the difference. Exactly. We have to grasp the difference between ispashtus and ischatshus. So, friends, I'm going to give it to you now in one sentence. I'm going to give it to you now in one sentence. You must remember this, and you must understand it. Otherwise, you won't get it. And in one sentence, it is. Ispashtus says and reveals there's an Eibishter. That is, I'm finishing my paragraph. This is the key paragraph. That is not a truth that is challenged every moment. It's a constant, simple truth. And there's nothing more constant or simpler.
And again?
That Oir is Megala, that there is an Eibishter. That's not a truth that needs to be validated every second, every nanosecond. Spashtus. That is, as Faran, Gamarna. For God to create, that needs to be validated every second. What are you doing here? Who you? What's going on here? So therefore, in the act of creation, we call it chayes. We don't call it oir or koyach. Because it's a different dveikos, it's a different message. Different message. Yeah, there's more. Different message. Okay, so 3 times maybe a stick. Oir, the message of oir is oir conveys that there's an Eibishter. Chayes expresses, koyach,
Yes.
that there's a creation. That there is a creation. Now, which one of the two needs to be constantly validated and renewed every second, because fundamentally should not be impossible and God could do anything, so that's why it's there. His existence or creation? Creation. So it's dovok and it's expressive. V'adarabah, as you say, the end of the Maimed, it's expressive even deeper of God. He can create something else in quotations. Notwithstanding the truth, the uncompromisable truth that ain't that muvada. Can still create Bereshis Boraliki. Okay, I'll let it sink in for a minute or two, think it over. It's not a bad idea to take notes, gentlemen. Especially when such subtle ideas where one word makes all the difference. It's not extremely subtle. Look, find in the text the line above the number 56. Critical line in this paragraph. Somebody read it. From the word Harei. Hariyat Mekadeshes Li. It's not the same meaning. Koyach, exactly. Koyach magia bebechines ha'atzmus. Shalamayla mikola oiris vagiloyim, which is what oir is. Now the Megillah stood in the second. What are you saying? But we said already what we're saying. we're saying, I'm going to say this in different words. It's much bigger news. Well, actually, it's not bigger. It's news. It's news to say that there's creation. Not news to say there's a God. So what else is new? Sure. So Ur says there's an Eibishter. Thank you very much. Chaya says this Eibishter, whose exclusive reality ain't Admo Vadoi, can create a Yesh HaNivra that feels separate from him. Really? I can't understand how that's possible. It's takanot. Let's go Atzmus. Okay, before we continue, we should go around the table. Everybody should express in their own words the question and the answer. This way we're not going to be wasting our time.
Can you say it in a mushal?
Huh?
Can you say it in a mushal that it's a bigger chiddush for a child to be different than his parent or independent rather than to be totally dependent?
Okay. Yeah.
In other words, it comes from a deeper part of the parent that the child can be independent rather than the child should be independent. Independent rather than to be dependent.
You could say that. I mean, there's endless expressions of this. If you're talking about parenting, it takes a deeper investment of a parent to discipline their child when they need disciplining than to love them when they're cute and cutesy. You're expressing a much deeper connection when you will discipline, which means ignore your child if necessary, then when the child is loving and is cooing to you and saying, Tati, I love you, and you show love back. So it's the same nekuda that you're saying. That's one expression of you as a father. That's your ispashtos. The etzem of being a father is when you're disciplined. And I hate you.
Why are you saying discipline? Why don't you just say that
Because discipline, you're not expressing love and you're ignoring, and it is gevura, and you're from the child's perspective, you're putting up a separation between the two of you. What do you mean you're not giving this to me? Well, why aren't you answering me? It's a separation. הרי זה לפי שהכוח מגיע בבחינת העצמוס שלמעלה מכל הארץ והגילויים. Got to get that as crystal clear as you can in your head. Then we're on the road to understanding something.
Or you can say it in a different mushal. That father is, or you can say it in a different mushal. The father is happier when the child doesn't only monkey see, monkey do, and goes into the same business, let's say, as the father, but that the son is creative on his own to do his own thing in his own business. Let's call it business. So the father has more nachas that the son has his own independence, and there's a bigger investure in the father and also the son. That
mushal is not great because God does not want us to be independent and think we're doing anything on our own.
But giving him the tools to do things, I shouldn't say the word which is other, but
Moshe was better. No, because here you're getting into when it comes to the Eibishter, There's no independence. That's the whole point that we need to reveal. We need to reveal there's no independence where we do feel independent. Back to the first mashal, that when the child grows up, the child's going to realize that when father disciplined me, he was really connecting to me deeper. We're looking for the connection that is deeper to the father, less independent mamish. But where does that come? It comes only from the world of apparent independence. From the kid's perspective, he hates me. He doesn't like me anymore. He's rejected me. Right now, in the childish perspective. Then the child understands, it's a deeper connection. Sorry, I can't hear you. No one said anything. No. Okay, let's continue. But number 56 we started this yesterday. We could stop here and we're kind of satisfied. We understand it. But the Maimon goes further and to give us more explanation. And we hope that we're mechaven in what the Rebbe is saying. Again, this is from yesterday. Yes, I'm sorry. So he introduces the yin of keli. You tell me, when you say the word keli, what must you be thinking immediately? What are you thinking? Everybody agree with that? And oir, by contrast, that's the root of keli, the root of oir, just the root, the expressions of the divine, infinite and finite. Okay, before we go further, by divine design, we're not responsible for our perceptions. We're created this way. So you tell me, there's no mystery here. By divine design, what is our perceptible, from our perception, which is greater, infinite or finite? Question. Infinite. From our perspective, what expresses God more? Where he's revealed or where he's concealed? Simple, foolish question almost, right? Yeah. The answer, of course, where he's revealed. And where he's revealed more, he's revealed more. So Ein Sof is higher than Atzilus, and Atzilus is higher than Bria, and so on. Now, God deliberately created us with this perception. Why? The emphasis, as he's going to say this before we get into the nuance of the two dargis, Havayu Olikim. Havayu Olikim. That's the first Piddush in Iyu V'Gamoyachad. That the Oyer and Keli for the Eibishter is all one. Express himself this way or that way, it's all him. From God's perspective, one is not more legitimately him than the other, God forbid, it's all him. Correct? Gentlemen, please pay attention. Is that correct? So I'm asking you, so then why did God create us with the perception that we don't get that? That more is more and less is less. That from our perspective, there's a Seidish Talshalos, closer and further, not from God's perspective. But why did he do that? Yeah, a two-word answer. Because he wants a dir b'tachtoin. To create an entity that feels he's a tachton, and there is going to be revealed. So this is a template that we must plot everything on. We're going to learn them. Let's go further. So koyach is kelim. We understand why. The whole point of koyach is it comes kamoy, dover, nifred, keli, separate. invested in a finite creation, producing a finite creation. So it's K'manyin HaKelim, meaning equal expression of Koyach HaGvul, finite creation, the power of God's finite expression, quote unquote, that produces finite entities. Let's go further. So the Zohar says about what? About the divine Keli, the Koyach HaGvul. Here's the quote. But this actually, it's, the quote picks up in the middle. It starts off, Iyu v'chayoichad, Iyu v'gamoichad. Simple translation. He and his divine energy are one. He and his causations are one. Kelim, bligvul gvul. He's one with his bligvul expression. He is one with his finite expression. So there's two pirushim. Pirush Aleph, shekoy al yichud hakelim im ha'oides. The Zohar is coming to reveal something more than meroyimdik. What we need to know, and it's the whole kavanah, the yichud of the kelim with the oides, which means English, yeah, English, good. McGill student. That
infinite and finite.
It's all him. It's all him. They complement. They're two separate Giloyim, but it's all him. That's one pirush. And therefore they're harmonious. They interplay on each other and affect each other, even though their own worlds, they're different. But since it's all him. This is the meaning of Shalom Bim Brayma. Michal Sarshel, Mayim Gavir Sarshalesh, Mayim Vein Machabim Zemzeh. The presence of the Melech, the ministers in their own world, are at odds on every subject. They cannot agree on anything. But when the Melech speaks, yeah, all of a sudden they're both speaking the same language. Why? Because they're all devoted to him completely, and his will is their will. That's the first pirush. Pirush Abei shekoy ala yichud hakeli b'mkoyro. No. So friends, pause button. L'chayra, where he's going here is l'chayra. I hope I'm machaven. And that is, as we said at the outset this morning, that the Eibishter wants us to know, Kindalach, where I'm concealed, I'm really more, you touch my essence deeper, it is more invested. The first message is, it's all me. When I'm loving, when I'm concealing, it's all me. The second deeper message is that where I'm concealed, I'm actually allowing you to touch me deeper. In the ischachus of yesh ma'ai, and that is constant. That's constant. That needs constant, because what does conceal mean? It's the pele ployim. That in creating you, that you feel independent, I've expressed myself deeper than in any other expression of mine, even though it's all equally mine, but still deeper. Again, the moshel of the father who disciplines. So from the kid's perspective, he's ignoring him, he's put up a barrier, but Pnimius, he's more connected to the child than when he disciplines. That's why it takes much more effort. which is why we're not so good at it. Because if we do it because I'm frustrated and angry, rather than the kid's benefit, then we kill the kid. But effective discipline is very difficult. That's the most important part of chinuch. And that's bechlolis in general, the whole creation, yeshmai, creating this independent in its own world entity, quote unquote. It's deeper. Let's continue in the Maimer. The hefresh b'neim, a difference between these two pirushim in Iyo v'garmoyechad. Sheyichod ha'kelim mo'eres. The unity, the harmony of Gvul and Bli Gvul, Kelim and Eides, that's a unity of two separate things, and they are. I know, but they all come from one God, and therefore they are, these two polar expressions are harmonious. That's big news too. That wouldn't be obvious. Meaning, even though there's this interplay of Hashem's Bli Gvul and Gvul, Shakeli Peil ala Oir, the Gvul affects the revelation, Va'ir Peil ala Keli, and the light affects the Keli. How does the light affect the Keli? You're also him. Also him. The second Piddush is not also. The Keli, you express him deeper. Got that? They're sound bites, but they're important to remember. Not also, that's the first Piddush. You're also him. Second Piddush is, he's invested deeper in you, my friend, in your sense of yeshes and independence. That's the koyach ha'atzmos, and that requires his chadshus, because it's an also. Every second you got to be told. Sorry, it's the first Piddush is also. It's also in chadshus to some degree, but not like the chadshus of not only also, deeper.
Now in Seder Shtashos, the further down it's going, the more invested.
Yeah. The further the distance, mitzad oir, the pnimi is the more invested. Here, dirib tachtonim is atzmos mamash, which they're not even privy to, unless through our avodah we megal atzmos, then the holy shtalshalos is expressive of atzmos. Also, what does that mean? Okay, let's finish the ois. Yeah, so mekamok man say kemoy yichot shel shnei dvadim v'loy ba'ofen shakeli nasa oir. The keli is not oir. The keli is gvul. The oir is bli gvul, and the keli is being told you should know you're also expression of it. Fret not. That's the first Piddush. But the second deeper Piddush in Iyo Vergamba Yichad is to say that the Keli in its source is Ihu. Ube'ofen shakeli atzmoi nase koyach ha'etzem. And why is that? Because you know what kind of Eibishter we have? One but produced me and you that feels independent. Craziest thing in the world. That expresses Atmos. Our yeshus expresses atzmos much more than any revelation. The revelation is a nice and neat God, but the creation yesh mind is the impossible God.
Translate the words inside. Can you please? Can you please translate the words inside?
You say
translate inside the ISIS.
What?
Translate the ISIS inside.
What? I didn't translate it?
No. I mean,
so the yichud of the kelim in its source is in that pirush means that the keli, the koyach hagvul itself, nase koyach etzem is the expression of atzmos, of the very essence of Hashem. And where do we see this? Who? In the impossible creation of independence. That koyach produces this novel. What's the novelty that koyach produces? Us. Yeshus. Kanal shekoyach or kumayin akel. Like we said before, that koyach is the gvul. Koyach produces kelis, separate. And it's not just you are also the expression of him. You're a deeper expression of him. Is the end message. That the existence of yeshus, of creation, is renewed from every day. It's not a given. It's a given every day. There's an Eibishter. It's not a given for a millisecond that there's a Welt. That's renewed with a new life force. As we said yesterday, one of the expressions, this is that every day the Nisava Kodesh Baruch Hu is new. Every moment is Nischadish, the Nisava, that he wants to do b'tachtonim. That there is a God is not Nischadish. That's a given, it is, and goodbye, Charlie. Every day, is a God, really? No. Yeah, sure there's a God. It's a given, that's a one constant. That there's a creation? Absolutely not. Gewalt, what's it doing here? So it's a chayish chodosh, la'achresh, misalem, b'mikoyroi, and it's every second withdrawn and renewed. Withdrawn. You shouldn't be, but you are. You shouldn't be, but you are. You shouldn't be, but you are. That's creation every second. There's no room for this. But you are anyway. Gonna make you. So much so, therefore, that the whole existence of creation, this is only mitzad atzmos, mitzad oir. But it's bedveikus. What's the end? But the dveikus is it's constant. But it's a dveikus of ischachus. The dveikus of ischachus. Okay, gentlemen, I can't think for you. You have to think about this. How will I know that you thought about it? First of all, when you ask a question, you'll have something to say. But maybe more if I get a question. I get a text. But 1 second, what about that? That would be very welcome. Or a suggestion for a moshul, you have to think. This cannot be, leave the room here and vice versa. Go ahead. Speak up loud. I'm very sorry. Formulate. Good. Yeah, take your time. Formulate your comment or your question. What's that?
Great suggestion.
I told you, I once shared with you that Shilim Koratin, one of the most famous figures in the history of Lubavitch, Mashpia in, what am I going to say now? I read, it's a series of stories a while back, they're all about Shilim, from a booklet that was published. So he used to choose, he was a gewaltige Panimi. Yes. But Hashab said the whole Tivchat Mimim is words for Shilim, and he died very young, and he was already by the Rebbe, by the Alter Rebbe, Teskista, whatever, he was already there. Kapanim. So here's the point. He used to sit in the Zal. He was Mashpiyah Chassidus.
How could he be by the Alter Rebbe? Wasn't he in the times of the Rebbe Rashab?
But it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure. Look it up again. The Rebbe Rashab said that about him. Adam Kosher Hoya said that Rebbe Rashab about him. So he apparently during Nigla, so he said this, he finished, but he didn't go home. He would sit in the Zal at a place and think. So he was once asked, like, you can think at home. She wants the Bachram to see for hours, unmoving, just oblivious thinking. There's no substitute. Even that thinking, break the head. What does it mean? What does it mean? Challenge. Have the McGill student and the Mirror student sitting, both of them, they're challenging. And again, let's keep on saying, they don't mean to catch you. They just want to understand. The yeshiva boy and then the university students.